There's so many people. Who's the kid? Who's the guy that I met at Starbucks? He was working at Starbucks. Oh, I forget the NBA. Milwaukee Bucks. He was an All-Star, five-time
I remember
All-Star.
that story. I don't remember the name.
Hey, I remember when I was young in the 1970s. I mean, we used to hear the stories.
Mm-hmm.
Mickey Rivers used to have to go and try and get George to give him an advance on his salary because
Vin Baker. That's who it was.
Yeah.
Vin Baker.
Mick the Quick wasn't doing well at the 9th and 10th race at Yonkers Raceway after Yankees games.
You know what's so funny? I went to the by the way, we are talking to Nationals play-by-play broadcaster Charlie Slows. I went to the Islanders and Ranger game, and right by the UBS Arena is the raceway. So me and the Beef, I went with Mike from Bayshore, we call him the Beef. We were walking around all the way because we had to park in the parking lot right on the other side of the UBS Arena, so the raceway, and I'm looking over and I see the field, and I'm like, how the hell? My hip is hurting me walking to the UBS Arena. I'm like, how the hell does these horses get around here? This is like 2.5 miles. I'm already tired. I told the Beef, I was like, why don't we climb over and try to run on the raceway? Let's see how fast we can go. I said, we look like a bunch of jackasses, and then we'll get arrested.
Hey, remember in high school, the track around the football field was a quarter mile. 4 times around was a mile.
Yeah.
So you're talking, how big is that oval?
No way.
Oh, I remember that.
I first of all, I'm not when I was in high school, I ran a mile. I think at that time it was fast. I ran it in like 8 minutes or like 7:55. Now there are kids running a mile in 6 minutes, 6 minutes and 55. It's ridiculous what kids are running a mile now. I could never do that, and that shows you the different technique and how they build their bodies now with all the different ways that you can build your strength and your conditioning now than we couldn't do 20 years ago. So it's crazy.
Back then, you trained for your sport by playing your sport.
That's true.
You didn't use all other methods of training.
Mm-hmm. It's crazy.
You know when you think about cyclists,
mm-hmm.
They run, they swim, they do all these other things.
Yeah, triathlon.
Yeah.
They stick themselves with needles.
Lance Armstrong.
Oh. You can't say that's not true, right?
That's true. I'm just trying to mess around. But again, I've always said this, and I'll say it again. And I've argued this with professional sports. I think that baseball, football, hockey, basketball, if they want to use steroids to stay healthy so they can play 160, let them do that. The only sports that I think they want to ruin their bodies, they want to hurt their bodies, that's their decision. The only 2 sports that you should not be using steroids, I believe, is combat sports. Boxing, mixed martial arts, you can kill somebody doing that. I mean, these football players are 350 pounds. They're running, they're running 40 yards in 4.8 seconds or something like that. It's ridiculous how fast they run. I mean, does it really matter if they took steroids or not? It really doesn't. Some of them do, some of them don't. Ask Hopkins, who got suspended for 6 games. 6 games, yeah.
So, but I can't agree when if you're talking about strength and staying healthy in football. All the other damage that it can do to your body, your brain, with all the head injuries and everything combined,
it's doing it in the 20s. It's doing it already.
Right. I can't say that steroids wouldn't contribute more to it. But in baseball, I mean, you can't say that Barry Bonds, look what he looked like early in his career, and look what he looked like later. It can't say Sammy Sosa, the same thing, was not a big guy. McGuire was a big guy, but he got really, really big.
Yeah, his forearm was dead, that's for sure.
So you can't say that didn't have the same effect.
No, it did. But does
those guys had an edge in stamina? I mean, Bonds was ridiculous. I mean,
Charlie, amphetamines have been around for 30, 40 years. And these guys are in the Hall of Fame.
Right.
They're in the Hall of Fame. So if they're doing steroids, amphetamines can actually make you see the ball better. It makes you. It's different. It's like cocaine. All right. You've heard all different ex-football players. We all know a guy that played for the Giants, a linebacker, arguably one of the greatest linebackers to ever play the game, who used to sniff an 8-ball every single half. I mean, seriously, and go out there and try to kill people. Okay, so to me, and he's in the Hall of Fame. So if you know these guys are doing that kind of stuff, if Bud Selig's in the Hall of Fame. This man is in the Hall of Fame. George Steinbrenner, who really helped baseball, saved baseball for what he did in the 90s. He's not in the Hall of Fame. And you have this idiot, Bud Selig, who allowed steroids the way he did, pushed it to the side because he needed to save it because of the strike in 94, 95 that absolutely ruined baseball and tried to figure a way how to save baseball. Hey, you know what? Stick yourself in the ass and help me break home run records, and we'll take baseball to the next level.
If Canseco didn't come out and say what he said, maybe nothing changes.
You're absolutely right.
And then if you don't have a former Houston Astro pitching for the Oakland A's come out and say what he said, maybe the Astros cheating doesn't get exposed either. Yeah. And I'll tell you what, they weren't the only ones doing it. You know, when Carlos Beltran was the ringleader of the whole thing in Houston, but Carlos Beltran was with the Yankees before that.
Yes.
And the Yankees and Red Sox were getting slapped on the wrist by the commissioner to knock off what they were doing long before the Astros got nailed.
They were saying Brian McCann had a lot to do with it, too, from what I was hearing.
They all knew what was going on. But it's just like, you know, one of the old Lou Piniella stories from when he was with the Yankees. Mm-hmm. He's sitting in a meeting, Gene Michaels, the GM, and, you know, all of the people that were with the Yankees front office. And they're talking about guys cheating, and Steinbrenner's in the meeting. Well, why don't we do anything about it? If this guy's putting something on the ball and cheating or whatever he's doing, why aren't we calling him out on this? Why aren't we doing that? Because Lou Piniella says, we can't, George. He goes, why not? He goes, there's 3 of our guys are doing it.
I miss George Steinbrenner because he really changed the game of baseball, and it made you hate somebody as much as everybody hated him. And they called the Yankees.
Right, because the only thing he cared about was winning.
Of course. And winning, you become evil. If you're a winner, look at the Golden State Warriors. And I can't stand Steph Curry. Everybody knows that.
Oh, yeah.
But they're a winning organization. So most people, you either love them or you absolutely hate them.
You can't stand him, but you'd love to sit in the gym and watch him shoot, wouldn't you?
I don't know. I asked Errol if Steph Curry ended up joining the Knicks at the end of his career, would he be able to tolerate it?
No, he's in the NBA for 11 years before I switched to baseball full time. He's the best shooter I've ever seen.
I'm sure.
Unbelievable.
Fantastic. And I understand that. But the best pressured shooter I've ever seen, Reggie Miller. Okay, so I as good a shooter as Steph Curry has been in the playoffs, he is not as dominant, and that's what you want.
Well, but he's had a team around him where he could still win.
Yeah, well, and when he didn't have a team around him, he didn't win. So,
well, that's the same with anybody.
Well, that's not true. LeBron James did. He won with a very crappy team, you know. So, I mean, he took a crappy team to the finals at least.
That doesn't happen very often.
No, because he's a special player, and
even Jordan, is he winning without
no
Pippen? Is he winning without some of the other role players that they designed?
Well, didn't he take the Bulls to the Eastern Conference Finals without Pippen or something like that? I forget. I'm not
remember.
sure.
I think it was the second round. I'm not 100% sure. In 1990 or
Jordan,
89, one of those years. Yeah.
Jordan, it's so interesting because before we let you go, and by the way, we are talking to Nationals radio play-by-play broadcaster Charlie Slows. It's so interesting because we talk about Michael Jordan, and I had the opportunity to watch ESPN's documentary on Derek Jeter. Okay, and
I haven't watched that one yet.
Oh, you'll like it. It's really, really good. It's very well put together. The story from the beginning to the end of Derek Jeter's career, even as he becomes an owner for Miami and actually steps down because of what Miami was doing. He pretty much stepped away from Miami. Everybody wants to know why he decided to step down. It was because of the organization and him being the CEO of the organization. They were trying to do different things, and he didn't agree with what he signed up for, and he decided to step down because of it, and it really pissed off the Jeter family and him because he moved to Miami, and he said he's still to this day, it hurts him because he believes that he was on course to getting this team into a competitive, possibly championship competitive team that he thought he was building. But it's very well put together, and the stories and different people they had Don Mattingly, they had all from each different episode from each time, like every 3 years he had. They had all different guys. It was crazy. And by the way, I didn't know that Gerald Williams passed away. And at the
that was over the summer.
Yeah, and I was sad because I liked Gerald Williams as a New York Yankee. He wasn't one of those superstar players, but he was always used as a utility player for the Yankees. And
do you know though, while he and Jeter became
best friends,
best friends,
mm-hmm.
Joe Torre, from what I was told, thought that he wasn't going to be the best influence on Jeter, and that's why they traded him away. They got him back later on.
Yes,
they traded him away because they didn't want Jeter around him.
Interesting. I didn't
hear that wasn't in the documentary.
No, it wasn't. But Derek Jeter, there was a lot of funny things. A lot of writers that were writing about him, and then he would hear what they say on the documentary, and he would attack them on the documentary. Like, what the hell did he know? It was great.